Welcome to Experience Kills. I'm Richard. I'm here with Ben.
Your intros always sound like you're at gunpoint. It's hilarious.
Do they?
A little bit. Like, I have to talk now or else Ben will hurt me.
It is kind of like that, but it's also thematic because we've literally been at gunpoint playing Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. How'd you think about them apples?
I think they're rosy and red because I love me some Destiny.
It's alright, isn't it?
No, it's awesome.
Well, yeah, I'm underplaying it and then we'll build up to your enthusiasm shortly. So, I have fallen off the Destiny 2 wagon a long time ago because I've played it in a way that you don't approve of, and it's probably the wrong way to play Destiny 2, but I viewed it more of a campaign experience. So I did all the story missions, finished the story, did a little bit after that, like side missions and stuff, but then kind of binned it off and moved on to other games. You, on the other hand...
To be clear, you finished the Red Legion, and then you stopped.
If you say so. I don't know what the Red Legion is. Because despite the fact that I play it as a campaign, I've taken no interest in the story whatsoever.
I love that so much. It's such an oxymoron.
I know.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't, but I really don't like the story in Destiny. I think I'd like getting through first-person shooter levels and seeing what places you go to. I think that's what I enjoy about it. So...
What you've told me you really like. You like the gunplay, don't you? You like the shooting.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You always compliment the shooting.
Yeah, it does feel like a really good shooter still. I can't remember when Destiny 2 came out. Was it 3 years?
Yeah, well, this is the second year of content, so like launching. So it's 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. So it's been a fair while since I played this. You've drawn me back in by kindly letting me have a review copy of the new DLC called Shadowkeep. So that's what we're talking about today.
Well, yes, that's why we're here, but we're going to not just talk about that.
Well, we can talk about how that fits into the whole, I guess. Because it's not a discrete pack, it does build the whole experience up. Makes it a difficult thing to review, particularly from someone who's been away from Destiny for a long time. Not easy to know what's new with this release, what's been built up over the last few months and years since I last played the game. But I have to say it's a positive experience because I'm properly back into it. I always knew I could get back into it. It was just thinking, when's the right time? Because I've never been one to really stick at a game like this day in, day out, week in, week out, and just hammer it for small rewards, you know? It gets to a point where it's diminishing returns in games like this, and you just think, is it worth me playing it all the time? Maybe I'll just come back later when there's more content and I'll get more out of it. I've left it pretty much as long as I possibly could. And coming back with Shadowkeep, there's absolutely tons of stuff for me left to do. And not just new campaign stuff. I've been going back to side missions from before that I've missed from the extra DLC that came out shortly after release that I never got a chance to try. And I'm finding that there is so much to do. Didn't really know where to start. I was kind of overwhelmed with it to begin with. But how did you find it coming back with much more recent experience? What was your feeling about Shadowkeep coming back to it kind of fresh?
Okay, I mean, so let me explain my relationship with Destiny and Destiny 2. I've put probably 1,000+ hours into the first Destiny, and I'm in the low hundreds, I guess, in Destiny 2. Yeah. Like 200-300, something like that hours. And I've not played it as much as the first Destiny because for whatever reason it didn't grab me quite as strongly out of the gate. However, I'm the kind of person that comes back to Destiny every time there's a new content drop or a significant update. Not always there necessarily for like the seasonal opulence or the Halloween thing or something like that, or the Valentine's thing or whatever. But I will come back for the new yearly updates. And what I think the best thing I've seen so far about Shadowkeep is that it actually gives you a reason to stick with it, which wasn't there in the past through the Battle Pass / Seasons mode. So you have this ongoing sort of yeah, if you've seen a battle pass in whatever, all these other games, these big shooters that are now out there, it's one of those. So you have a constant leveling system all the way up to 100 levels, and every time you hit a level, you get a reward. It's a simple thing, but it actually encourages you to stick with the game through that season. So we're in this Vex-themed season right now, the season of the Undying, and yeah, that's sort of connected to Shadowkeep, which is this return to the moon. Which, frankly, is, if you're into the story, and if you're a fan of the original Destiny, going back to the moon is a big deal. I spent hundreds of hours on the moon in the original Destiny game, so these environments, which have been kind of reused but changed up in various ways, are really exciting and nostalgia-filled, and gave me quite the thrill to go back around and explore and find out all the differences, and doing certain things in that game where it's like, oh my god, I spent so long fighting this boss in this room, and to be back here doing it again, it felt strange but also awesome at the same time. Like, you'd think it would be like kind of frustrating or annoying, but it's not. It feels really nice to be back to it. And what this new piece of DLC really feels like is that Bungie have said, right, we're giving the real diehard fans what they want. That we're giving them OG Destiny again. And I think that is very indicative of where things are now with Bungie, how they have left Activision and now they're their own thing again. They're self-publishing this, and it's like they have the freedom to do Destiny now how they really want to, and I am very happy so far with the way the game is feeling going forward into this next year of content that we're going to be getting from them, with these multiple seasons and this hopefully continuous evolution of the platform. You know, they've done some big changes in this one, which you're not necessarily going to notice if you're a Richard type player that's been away for a couple of years, but things like Armor 2.0 and the way in which Armor is handled and upgraded now, and how it's not just dependent on complete dice rolls for the sort of the different perks and stuff that the Armor has, but you can actually customize things to fit your play style and to maximize how you want your character build to play. And I think that's really, really positive, and I think it's going in the right direction now, after I think a bit of time in the wilderness where it hasn't really found its feet and it didn't really grab the audience in the same way as the original Destiny.
Yeah, from your perspective, we're operating from two very different perspectives.
Very different.
Yeah,
you couldn't really get more different, actually.
You couldn't.
I don't think.
I kind of hope that would work out in an interesting conversation and get people that maybe haven't really played Destiny at all, I'm sure there's still a few of them, and try and work out, not just from your perspective of someone who was always going to play Shadowkeep anyway, but maybe people who are more on the fence and think, well, is it worth jumping on now?
I actually think, Richard, it would be easier for someone who's never played Destiny to come to Destiny 2 than it is for you, because you've got, first of all, you've got zero barrier to entry now. So there is a free-to-play version of Destiny 2 which launched with this new content, which means you can immediately get in. You get a new introduction which is based on the original Destiny's intro to your character, to your guardian, and then to the world, and then you are basically able to go through the stories in any order you choose, build your character from power level 1 all the way up to 750 and stuff like that. I'm sorry, 950. Sorry. And then you can approach it in a very different way to the way Destiny 2 was approachable up until now. For you, it's kind of confusing because it's this mismatch of the two different takes on Destiny 2, if you like. So you're somewhere in the middle, trying to work out what's changed. You've got a memory of how things used to be, and yet things are different enough to leave you mostly just incredibly confused. Which is why I hooked you up with an invite to my clan. Not my clan, the clan I'm in. Yeah. Which, to give a shout out to them, Darkness Touch Me, and they're a really good bunch of guys, and they will help you on your way through Destiny 2.
And that is appreciated. Thank you for letting me into the clan, guys. Thank you very much. I think I will make use of that at some point, certainly, because I've got aspirations to do a raid, which I haven't played since Destiny 1. I think I tried a raid once and managed to get through it with some help.
You see, it's interesting. I'm not a big raid guy. Because it's difficult, I find, to carve out that time.
Yeah.
I like to jump into Destiny for an hour or so a night, do a couple of strikes, pick up a few bounties, go and do some of the sort of like replayable activities that are good for rewards, which I'm really enjoying. The Vex Offensive right now, which is an Ikora Ray based. She's like the quest giver for it, who gives you the bounties at the tower, giving her something to do finally after basically 3 years of nothing. And yeah, I really like doing stuff like that. That's kind of more bite-sized. But the raids they can be very rewarding. They can be very hit and miss. Some of them are not as good as others. But yeah, if you, the great thing about being in a clan with like 50 members, like the Darkness Touch Me, is that there'll almost always be someone online who you could do a raid with. Even then, I've still been really shit and never done one in Destiny 2. I don't think I've ever done one. I might have done one, the first one, but I haven't done any of the new ones. So yeah,
I figure
you don't have to do that.
No, I know you don't have to. It's achievements, isn't it? It'd be nice to tick it off and say, yeah, I've done one of the raids. But yeah, I don't know. There is plenty of other stuff to do. You talked about me being in a difficult spot, having played this before and then coming back with when it's all changed. I think one of the biggest "do I like this or don't I" moments was landing on the moon and thinking, I have played this. Is this legitimate new content? Can I enjoy this without feeling like I'm being stiffed for something I've already bought? You know? And I think the short answer is yes, I can enjoy it. The longer version of that is, if I was going to qualify it, they've changed enough in there that it doesn't feel like a rehash. I mean, just the up-res is impressive on its own, you know? So playing it on 4K TV, with all the new lighting effects that comes with playing it on Xbox One X, looks phenomenal now. It did anyway. I've not gone back to compare, but the moon looks incredible. And they've changed enough of it now that you, even having not played Destiny 1 for a really long time, I am familiar with that moon. And seeing all the changes that they've made, the massive cracks in the surface and all the different things that they've added, you do appreciate them. And it's fun to go back and explore places that you've been to, thinking that you know them, and actually you'll be surprised around every other corner and find something different. So I have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I've been stiffed on that count. It just feels like, I think you've touched on this, it feels like a really rounded Destiny experience. So if someone was to jump into this fresh, maybe not having played any Destiny at all, Destiny 2 now feels like a complete package. There is so much in there. Do you remember the talk on Destiny 1 where there was all that hype before it came out that it was going to be this galaxy extravaganza with dozens of planets and locations, and it ended up being really quite Spartan. There was like 4 or 5 different areas that you could go to, and it felt much more restrictive than the hype that had led us to the release,
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like that.
And I mean, now you look at the amount of places you can go to in Destiny 2.
There's so many.
There's probably double that now. There's absolutely loads on that map screen of different types of environments to go to. Everything from the Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City through to things like Nessus and Titan and all these different places. You've got huge Earth maps now. You've got the moon being back. There's absolutely loads to do. And I think, yeah, you bring up a good point. I think Destiny 2 is the best it's ever been for Destiny in many ways. I mean, the thing that the Battle Pass / seasons really bring to Destiny is that there are rewards now for however you want to play this game. And I think that's sometimes been something Destiny has struggled with, whereas in certain seasons it might reward people that want to play Crucible. In certain times it will reward people that want to just do strikes, or give you the best rewards for just doing the raids and things like that. And there are still, raid specific incentives, because otherwise why would you put yourself through the hardest thing you can do in the game? But now there are these very obvious rewards for somebody who just wants, if you just want to walk around the planets and shoot some dudes, you will get rewarded for it. Whereas in the past, that would be a pretty futile experience. So I think they've really thought about the entire experience as a whole. Some of the criticisms I guess you could levy at that is that with this stronger emphasis on these seasons and the fact that it's now a free-to-play game, it's sort of like the base model, there is now a fairly heavy microtransaction element to Destiny through the Everest store and the purchase of silver as this currency to buy. It's all cosmetics, but it's like, some could argue that they've kind of removed the ability for you to earn cosmetics as easily as you could just before this particular content update, because they put a stronger emphasis on buying them from the store. And I think that's a fair argument. However, they're gonna have to do that, aren't they? I mean, if they're gonna make that base game free to play, they've lent on that sort of microtransaction.
They are, and I don't think I have a problem with that. But I was going to mention this. I do kind of have a gripe with the pricing structure of tentpole releases like Shadowkeep, because they're maintaining that full price release almost.
Yeah, once a year you can pay 50 quid if you want. It's kind of like, so I think there's a 30 quid option and a 50 quid option for Shadowkeep. 30 quid gets you Shadowkeep and the first season.
Yeah.
The 50 quid gets you all the seasons for the year.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with playing for a full price of game every year because of the amount of content that brings. But I can sort of see why people might have issue with that.
I don't know. When you balance it out, I suppose it's not that bad if it's all bought in one package. I guess for me, I don't think I've got all of the passes that you're talking about. I think I've just got the standard current battle pass, and then I'll have to pay for other ones. I don't know how much they cost. I'm guessing it's more expensive than if I'd bought the whole pack, right? But
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't quite feel right that I already, shelled out 70 quid for Destiny 2 when it came out. This is another 30 to 50 quid on top of that, as well as if I'd bought any of the previous content. So Forsaken, I haven't got yet. I'm considering getting that. It does add up to quite a significant total cost for one game. And
your argument is that if you're going to charge this kind of money for the releases, then why do you have such a heavy influence on microtransactions?
To me, it feels like there's too many revenue streams. I feel like you kind of have to pick one for it to feel fair. Now, if it's going to be microtransaction based, not got a problem with that at all, but it does feel like an unfair barrier that I guess is sustained because people will pay for it, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, would they? It doesn't feel right that they're charging for microtransactions as well as treating it as a full price release. This isn't the only game to do that. There's loads of others that have tried it. Destiny appears to be getting away with it, but it does leave a bit of a sour taste.
So I think what it is with Destiny is a legacy issue. So Destiny 2 obviously came out 3 years ago, sort of prior to the rise of Fortnite and Apex Legends and games like that, which have now shown how the Battle Pass model with microtransactions can work successfully to support an entirely free game in which all its content is released for free. This predates that and was of course created by the megalith Activision, and now kind of Bungie is kind of lumped with it. I think I guess they could work their way out of this model over time. I have to wonder what the business deals in the background were for this particular release. Are they still, for example, paying Activision anything for this due to probably developing this particular expansion while they were under the Activision umbrella? So that means that they may be stuck financially with some kind of obligation to them. I really don't know. I'm just guessing at that.
It feels like it's more an obligation to customers, because coming back to it, I thought, well, you could have just given me Forsaken as part of this pack, right? Because it's legacy content now. Are there that many people that are going to be buying Forsaken? You could have just packed it in.
That could be because Forsaken is owned by Activision. They might not have been able to do that.
Maybe, but I was thinking
we don't know the deal.
It's more of a recognition that they've got lots and lots of customers that did pay for it. So to give it away free is a big deal, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose I see what you mean. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's tricky, but I think even with all this kind of the dodgy money stuff to one side, I do stand by what I said before, which I do think this is the best Destiny has been. You don't actually have to engage with Everest at all if you don't want to. You don't have to buy anything cosmetic. If you don't want to, don't do it.
It doesn't push it on you. You've kind of got to look for it, haven't you? It doesn't push it at all. So
well, it's actually more in your face than it was before. There's actually a tab now for the store in the director, whereas in the past you had to go to the tower and visit the store physically to look at the microtransactions. Now you can look at microtransactions from any menu in the game.
Yeah, you can, but it's not like it's got its hooks into all of the other tabs. It's discreetly tidied away. So if you don't want to look at it, you just don't look. It's fine.
Yeah, that is true. And don't forget, with the battle passes, there is a free version of every battle pass, Whereas, because there's 2 tiers to the battle pass, the top row and the bottom row. The bottom row you only get if you pay for it. The top row you get regardless. So there's less rewards in the top row if you don't, if you do the free version. But there are still rewards. So there is still something there for free.
That makes sense, because I was looking at the reward tree, and the bottom row is the only one that goes up to 100. The rewards for the top line peter out after a while, so that makes sense.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense though, doesn't it? I mean, it's trying to incentivize that purchase, for the hardcore player that's going to aim to get 100 out of 100 of that thing. I don't think I'm ever going to get even halfway to that personally, but I'm going to certainly, give it a shot over the season. But no, I'm enjoying it a lot though. I'm really enjoying this where we're at right now with Destiny, with Shadowkeep. I think the improvements to the armor stuff are a big step forward for just the nitty-gritty customization of characters and your builds. I really like going back to the moon personally. It's a big nostalgia trip for me.
Yep.
And it's still, like you said, man, it still
just
feels
a good
so
shooter.
good to play.
Yep, still just a good shooter.
It's incredible, and the looks of it, like, it's getting old, this game, but the quality of the art design in this game, of the world building, of the models and the environments and the skyboxes, it just shows that all the work Bungie put into that back day one still paying off. Still looks incredible.
Yeah. I mean, there's bits that don't stand up. I mean, some of the liquids. What's that? What planet is it that's got the big seas on it? Is it Venus?
It's Titan.
Is it? I can't remember. But there's big rolling seas that look a bit crap by today's standards.
Oh, do they? I haven't been back to that one for a while, so
but,
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that, it really does stand up. I mean, it shouldn't. It's got no right to after how long it's been out, but they've obviously tarted it up within an inch of its life, and some of the lighting effects, it just looks, it's as good as you can get lighting on an Xbox One X, really. I can't say that I've seen much better in terms of in lighting and stuff. Looks fantastic. So but like you say, underlining all of that, it's still a really, really good shooter, and it's as complete as you could hope for it to be. So I'm glad I went back to it in the end. Thank you very much.
We're going to do some raids. We're going to raid. We're going to get on with the clan. Darkness touch me, and we're going to do some raiding.
Well, I think we can fit that in somewhere.
Yeah. And some Vex Offensive as well. I really like that.
Yeah. Let's give that a crack. So, is that enough on Destiny 2? Because we could talk for hours about it, but, we'll let people just try it out.
We're back in a year for the next season.
Yeah. Right, so
the next DLC.
That's Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to that. Hope it maybe informed some people who were on the fence about it. Anyone that plays Destiny 2, you're going to buy it anyway, frankly, won't you? So if you were listening to this, then I guess that means you love us. So thanks. I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, and we'll speak to you next time. I'm Richard. I've been here with Ben. You can catch me on Twitter at Colonel Red. Ben is at DIYE. You can also find our main Twitter account at Experience Kills. No surprise there, that's what our name is. What else? Look for us on any good podcast provider. Like and subscribe. Do all of the stuff that makes us popular, because we matter. Do it.
We need the recognition, please.
Anything to add, Ben? I think that covers all the housekeeping shit, right?
Yeah, Destiny 2 is awesome.
Right, let's
go play
that. Right, bye.
All right, bye.